Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday morning trading session. Hang on here just a moment. I'll get the screen share operating. So we've got the markets opening up pretty much where they left off yesterday. This is the NASDAQ that I'm following on this monitor. I've also got crude oil and soybeans going on my other monitor, but you can see here from the Eagle, very quiet through the overnight and kind of a sideways session for the most part yesterday, even though we did see a little bit of a rally out of the open. About that first hour of trading, things kind of unwound a little bit, and we saw the market heading the opposite direction afterwards. We're actually producing a sell signal here on the Eagle. This would be our first in sync signal of the day. And as those of you who've been following that first signal know, it tends to have a pretty good follow through to it. Actually, we're getting a similar look here on the Raptor with the cloud crossover. Oop, went a little bit too far on me. All right, we'll try for a second push on this one, if they'll let me in. There we go. You know what? I'm going to hold off here a little bit. It's only a few minutes into the session. If the market does decide to break down here and head lower, I should get at least one other opportunity to get into this trade. All right, this is actually looking like a good opportunity for a second push entry now. The market has retreated quite a bit, so confirming the support that we have here on the lows. All right, so here they come again. This is looking a little bit more promising this time. So we've got opportunities here in the Raptor, the Eagle. We can look at a second push. We can even look at the Hawk. We've got a red bar buy signal here. The red bar buy signal is a signal that occurs near the end of the trend. And let me see if I can get this trade on. There we go. We're going to have overlapping signals here. We're going to have this red bar buy signal in the Hawk. We're going to have a trend change signal working here in the Falcon. You can see we're kind of skewered here by the median line, but we're also taking a little bit of a bounce off of the primary resistance. It's attempting to give us a trend change signal, so we've got the move here that has changed the trend line color. Now we have the counter move, and now we have the market trying to recover the trend. And it should produce a signal out of that. We're also working the eagle signal. If we were looking at a second push off of this signal, the second push simply means we allow the signal to engage and then retreat from the signal. That shows us the limit, in this case, of the sellers. So if we're going to enter, we're going to enter below the low of that bar that gave us the reaction. And last but not least, here in the Raptor, we're getting a cloud crossover. So the cloud's changing direction, the market moving into the cloud, coming out, producing a signal, and because it's so early, that second push entry also should help keep us on the right side of the market. Okay, our hawk trade, since drifting into yellow bars, I'm going to cancel that. So yellow bars, the red bar buy has one yellow bar attached to it, but that's okay. It still has a red bar in it. But the double yellow bar, no, that's just too neutral. So I'm going to scrub that. All right, we're working a first micro macro cross higher now here on the hawk, and a possible trend change signal higher on the falcon. So we've got a market that's a little bit conflicted, looking for direction. I wanted to leave one of these on as a runner, but you know what, okay. I was going to avoid the signal that came around quarter to the hour, but here I am at 6:40. buying into the NASDAQ. Well, it is a first micro-macro cross signal, so with a little bit of luck, they're not going to charge through the lows. We're back into yellow bars, so that kind of suggesting a sideways moving market. Crude oil also dead sideways. Look at this. Here's crude oil on the Eagle. Have you ever seen a market more sideways than that? Looks like since about an hour before, or a good half hour before the open, the market started channeling. Crude oil opening around here, 6 a.m. Pacific, and then just flat. All right, so let's take a look here. How else this is shaping up. So we're working a possible trend change signal here on the Falcon, coming off of the median line now. Our trend line has changed from red to green. We've got this little up, down, looking for the up portion to come back. It would also be a late filter entry signal, by the way. Oh, you scoundrels, you're gonna run my stops here off of the low. And they did too. looks as though they're just going to kind of churn the market here a little bit. So I'm going to hold off. Wow, look at that. Just a lot of sideways trading. The Raptor giving us that cloud crossover, drifting into the cloud, coming out, producing a signal, falling off a little bit, enough to find your first profit objective, but at the moment, not much more. All right, well, here comes the Falcon now with a trend change signal, and it's running away on me here as well. Doggone it. Ah, my lamp is about to take a trip across the office here if they don't smarten up pretty quick. All right, well, now that it seems as though the market is bearish side. Ideally, we'll get a little bit of a pullback here and another opportunity to sell. I'd love to see it move back to the hard edge here on the eagle. That would be a nice retrace. Okay, here on the hawk we have a macro pullback and a 4-arrow consolidation combined into one. We're also going to get a late filter entry signal here on the falcon, or we should get a late filter entry signal. And there it comes. I see the warning dot printing, or was printing. There it is. The problem with this trade is not going to be so much the direction, rather covering the position. So there's the signal. I'm going to enter right there when the filter comes back into sync. And I'm going to try to run that one out a little bit. So here's what I was concerned about after a big downtrend like this, or a rather quick downtrend. There's going to be a little bit of a retrace coming our way. So I was looking here at the hard edge. The market may try to peel back to the hard edge before it resumes the trend. My concern is too that maybe it's just going to end up in a sideways range, albeit a rather large sideways range. My concern is that there's not going to be any follow through. The market's just going to waffle a little bit here. All right. Well, they're struggling a little. Getting a green bar sell now. It's kind of the last chance for the sellers to resume the trend before the buyers try to push it higher. Getting a possible trend change here in the Falcon as well. Again, these are characteristic of a market that's trying to make a little bit of a retrace. Thanks, Andrew. And he says, we've got the FOMC member Dudley speaking right now. I wouldn't have thought that was enough to stall the market, but maybe it is. Any bit of news, I suppose. Oh, I see there's OPEC meetings on the board. That's going to stall the crude oil market some. All right, well, we'll just have to wait them out here a little bit. Getting that first micro macro cross higher now. We're into the hard edge of the Eagle band, working a trend change signal higher on the Falcon also. But to me right now, these seem counter trend. It seems to me that the market is trying to head lower, hence my decision to sell. But if the sellers don't pick it up soon, then we might have to abandon that position. Oh, Andrew says no, sorry, it wasn't Dudley, it's Powell, and it's the consumer confidence report that came out at the top of the hour. Thanks, Andrew. As you can tell, I don't follow the report schedule very closely. Come on. Well, here we are, drifted back to the hard edge. Now we need that reaction. Ken says, it looks like the consumer is confident. Yeah, it might be the case, Ken. So there was certainly an opportunity here for a scalp to the upside. It's a nice thing about the Hawk scalper, of course, is you can get some faster trades in. In the meantime, just kind of on the sellers, and if they don't show up soon, it could be a little problematic. Come on. So I think, let's see here, if I shoot a trend line, sitting something like that, so we're near some trend line resistance. It's not really that important how you draw your trend line. Some are going to, well, it is and it isn't. Some will draw the trend line this way. Some will draw the trend line like this. But it's close enough that we should see some sort of reaction. Some are even going to draw the trend line like that. No, they're definitely in a sideways kind of mood today. So the market's making a run down, then it's going to make a run up. And it's likely to make a run down again. All right, so we saw the market rally just a little bit. Now it's going to stall somewhat, or attempt to stall, as traders get back toward this resistance area. And there's also a resistance area here on our support and resistance lines around the 48.60 mark. Yes, we fudged it a little bit, but it's also common to see that. The market's not going to hit it right on the number. Well, they're taking their time here. There's not much really going on. All right, well, here comes that delayed reaction. I don't know. Tony's asking, are there any top step traders in the room? Anybody doing the combine? I know there were a couple before, but either shy or no, we don't have anybody this morning. Oh, I see. Tony says having some issues with the setup. Curious how they did it. I think Top Step's support team is pretty good, though. Well, I can't believe that the Bears, after that big move lower, just walked away from the market. That is crazy. There they go. I'm gonna tag my stop again. So what started as a bull market shifted to a bear market, now shifted to a bull market again. Now, they're not playing nice today at all. Wow, that was unimpressive. So, was there anything wrong with that signal that I took? No, there wasn't. It was a late filter entry signal. Signal came into sync right here. We looked to short right there. Unfortunately, the market drifted just low enough and then did the big reverse, not really giving us any chance or giving me any chance to adjust the trade. That is very rare that the market should do that. But in a sideways trading range, which is what I suspect we're seeing today, we're going to get that kind of nonsense going on. So now the big test for the buyers, the bulls, is this really an uptrend? Or is the market just kind of waffling a little bit here? Is it going to head all the way back down to the lows? Is it going to try to fool buyers into buying a breakout higher? And then it's going to turn on its heels and head lower? Or is it going to retrace a little bit here, perhaps come into the cloud here on the raptor and come out with a cloud crossover signal? Sure thing, Todd. Todd's asking Eric, why do you use the default 20? Where is it here? 1 second. Sorry, I can't multitask. Why do you use the default 24/5 instead of the default 24/7? Honestly, I don't know why they even include the 24/7 option. The Globex market opens for a few hours on Sunday morning. So what that means is on a 24/7 chart, your chart's going to look something like this. We're going to have just a couple of hours of trading on Sunday morning. That is the only difference between the default 24/7 and the default 24/5 setting. Because it's the Globex market and it's not normal market hours, it's very unlikely to affect the market that much. What it does do, however, is this little additional piece of data is going to perhaps give you different values for your support and resistance lines if you're using the support and resistance suite. Because the support and resistance suite actually incorporates price data into its calculation. So it will analyze support and resistance levels, looking back 10 or 20 periods. I forget exactly how far we programmed it to look back, But if there's, a support level showing up during these few hours, that's going to affect the other information. So it's kind of a throw-off session, if you will. So that's the reason I don't include it in the data assortment. I'm really just interested in the regular work week, if you will. And the overnight session has become much more active over the last few years. See, this was this Thanksgiving, or yeah, this was Thanksgiving. So U.S. markets are closed. American Thanksgiving right here. The U.S. markets are closed, but the Globex market is still open. So if you were really hard up for something to do, you could have traded on American Thanksgiving. And you can see it wasn't a bad session. When did this signal print? Did that print off the open? Oh, a couple hours into the session, hour and a half into the session. So for the first hour, hour and a half, not much going on. Only printed about 2 or 3 bars. That's how slow it was. Then you print a signal, and there's the remainder of the day. But the North American markets were obviously not open. And then the day after Thanksgiving, also very, very quiet. But that's nothing compared to the Sunday morning Globex. But what I was going to say is the overnight markets have become much more liquid, a lot more activity happening in the overnight now. And that overnight information can factor into the day's trading, although a lot of times I would prefer just to run the regular session. Like the U.S. futures regular trading hours. Let's see what that looks like just for kicks. Just because we can. Oops. Yes, okay, well that's Trade Forecaster, so we won't worry about that right now. So these are just the trading from the open. See, the first bar will be the open bar. This is just what happens through the day. Now, what's going to be a little bit more obvious here is you're going to see some gaps. Those days that we have gapping markets. But you can see we're still getting some solid signals, and out of curiosity, let's highlight some of these. So all I'm doing is looking at the first in-sync signal, and anything else that happens to look pretty good. All right, let's go back to our 24/5. Oh, way to go, Jim. Jim says, the Eagle crude oil trade just paid off. Well done. Okay, so there's that signal there. That's if we took the first signal off the 24 session, it looks like it printed right here. Gave a little heat, but it still worked out. Yeah, this was the first signal. That was in sync. And that signal was also in sync. So it doesn't look like you're missing anything if you went to the regular trading hours. And actually it looks like the trade forecaster is giving the same kind of reading as well. But yeah, we're interested in where the most activity is. Okay, so here's crude oil on the Eagle. Jim, did you get on that green bar sell signal? Oh man, you are brave. But you know what? It is the top end of the trading range, so good for you. If this market is just cycling sideways, it is the top end of the range. That's where you want to be a seller from. Well done. Yeah, no, well done, Jim. Jim says it looked good, so I took it. I always like to hear of your trades, and obviously if you have any issues, try to help you out the best I can. Although I kind of got suckered a couple times this morning. Crude oil waffling a little bit. Soybeans, not much. Got a trend change signal and a late filter entry there. Plodding higher, but also kind of slow. Just kind of stuck here now, waiting for an opportunity. They just keep pushing higher. Are they not going to give us any chance to get in there today? Steve's asking, would you say the faster markets like the NASDAQ, crude oil, gold on the Raptor system should be set at 8 ticks? 8 ticks is the default for the Raptor, and it will work for almost all the markets you're interested in trading, including the three that you mentioned, NASDAQ, crude, and gold. About the only one that falls outside of the parameters is the E-mini S&P. Oh, way to go, Tony. Tony says, because of the market sentiment today, I'm in sim and buying measured moves up. So far, so good. Well, you know what they say, if you can do it in sim, you can do it with real money as well. The key this is obviously not to change the way you trade when you start trading real money, which is a lot easier said than done for most of us. There is that tendency to be sometimes a little bit more aggressive with your sim trades and a little bit more conservative with your real trades. And it's only natural. Well, this market has been on a tear for the last half hour. bull's just refusing to let go. Well, have we finally seen the top come into the market? Or at least a short-term top? Well, I'm going to be on hold here for a little while until they give me some opportunity to get in. We're back near yesterday's highs, around the 48.80 area. Okay, we'll hang with the market here for a little bit. Just a reminder, tomorrow is the Wednesday session. We're going to meet at the open house uh, website. Yeah, Tony. Tony says, new item for Adam, needle point patterns for sale for traders. Yeah, Robert asks, good morning, Eric. Just for clarification, are we now in an uptrend, looking for uptrend entries? Yes, sir, absolutely. The uptrends don't get much stronger than this one. I would love to see a retest here of the hard edge. I doubt I'm going to get it. A macro pullback would suffice. The problem, of course, with any signal that prints now is where in the world do you put your stop? But the market definitely bullish. All right, boys and girls, I'm sorry it wasn't a very productive session today. The market kind of committing and not really giving us a second chance to get in. But I do suspect that we will get an opportunity uh, later this morning, early this afternoon. So something to keep a lookout for. We could see a little bit of a sell-off here and maybe a retrace here, at least to the primary resistance line. I think that would be very feasible for this market, which would see a trade back around the 48.67 mark. All right then. I'll see you tomorrow morning then at the demo room, at the open house room, and we'll talk to you then. Bye for now.